Welcome back to Tete a Tete. Let's have a conversation. Today we're going to talk about immigrants being ungrateful. And that's something that's always irked me. And I've always wanted to talk about that. So let's talk about it. I grew up in Haiti. When I moved to the US, I've always thought it was the greatest opportunity to be here. And I was overwhelmed by everything that I was exposed to. There were good things, there were bad things. But you never get me to tell you that there was more bad things than good things. And so the reason why today I'm talking about immigrants being ungrateful, you're smart. I'm certainly not talking about everybody. Matter of fact, it's a smaller percentage than it is a big percentage. But when you see people here are taking advantage of everything that the country has to offer, and they're living a good life, especially coming from a life that was not so savory. But at any moment that they have, any opportunity that they have to speak bad about the US, they take it. They treat it as if they were passengers, although they want to stay here forever. They don't want to go back to the old country that they came from because they know what's waiting for them. They escape for a reason. They try so hard to get here for a reason. It's because back home, there's no life. I've never seen so many ungrateful people when it comes time to express gratitude to the country that they're making a living in. So I'll give you an example. So I'm not going to tell you who, but there are people in my life right now that I've been getting so angry at because at any moment, they're just simply just looking for the wrongs in the country, just to, like, they love to point fingers. And that kind of stuff, it's not good for the people around you. And I think it's even worse for the new generation, for the kids. I love to talk about how we need to instill the right kind of values in the kids, do the right thing so that they can learn from us and be better than we were. So that's what life's all about. You want your offspring, you want the next generation to be better than you were. That's just the progression of life. And so that's one thing. Whenever you're an immigrant and you moved in the country for a better life, it is not time to just look for the nitpicking. Nothing's going to be perfect. God knows that the US is way more perfect than your country were. Because if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't be here. We can all be honest about that. So for me, again, it's something that's always pissed me off. When people just, ungratefulness is just something that's not in me. And I don't think people should be ungrateful, especially when it comes to opportunities that you've been giving. So there's that one aspect of it. And there's other aspects that I could talk about as far as immigrants being absolutely stupid. I'll give you an example about that, right? So I run my own company. And so I'm not going to say from what country, it doesn't matter, because my goal is not to single out countries and tell you which is such a bad. No, this is not the point. The point is simply, as immigrants, we need to be better than this. We need to be more grateful. So the example that I want to give you, I run my own company, and recently, and that's happened before, but more recently, I tried to hire somebody, and they had been waiting for me to give them an opportunity for just about a year. And I finally have enough work for them. So I called them in, showed them the work, and they were excited to do it. I know they're not doing anything. They've been sitting around and being a burden on everybody else. They have a big family. That one person was telling me about how much her sister's ready to work, her cousin's ready to work. So they've been waiting around. The job that I was hiring for pays a certain amount. When I told her how much the job was paid, she wanted about 25% more of what the job was paid. And so because I obviously couldn't do that, because you're not a doctor, so I'm not going to pay you a doctor's rate. Everybody has a rate depending on what you're doing. And so she decided not to do the job at all and keep sitting around doing nothing. That irked me so much, because obviously it's not a matter of just forcing somebody to work. But when you've been waiting around for me to give you work, you're not doing anything. You're a burden on everybody else around you. It doesn't matter if I was paying you $1. This is $1 more than what you had before. And so for you to escape such horrible situation where you came from, and I know exactly where she came from, I know about the situations there. You here now, the land of opportunity. You can make something out of nothing. And you were picking and choosing. And I know for a fact most immigrants are not that way. The story that we love to hear about are the stories about immigrants that came here with nothing and now they have this. I am that story. I am that guy. If I have my own company now, I have college degrees. I was the first one in my family to have been to college and gained a college degree. I know the stories. I am a living, breathing story, testimony of that same American dream that we talk about. But when you hear stories about immigrants like that, it's just sickening because not only you're not taking advantage of the opportunity, you're a burden on people. Trust me, those people are the ones who are so quick to just talk about victimhood, telling you how much it's not fair. I can't get an opportunity. Blah blah blah. The system is rigged. Like it leans this way. Like if you this, you can't have that. No, you are just lazy and stupid. That's just there's no sugarcoating it. There's no way around it. You just lazy and stupid, and you should not be around people unless you change your ways. You got to change your ways. You can't just keep looking for an opportunity to point the fingers when all the fingers are already pointing at you, you know? So being grateful, that's something that, again, you are not going to hear that from the media. The news will never tell you that because that doesn't sell. But for me, I don't care. I will talk about it because it's a big problem. If everybody would just be not so picky and not so quick to judge, not so quick to feel like America should be this perfect country, it's not a perfect country. But again, it's way more perfect than where you came from. And the proof is in the pudding. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be here. But since you're here, be grateful. Another thing that irks me is the fact that, again, I own my own company. So sometimes I would post a job and I would have a whole bunch of people replying in a whole, like in a different language. I post a job in English. You replied in a different language. Don't get me wrong. When I moved up here, I did not speak a lick of English. People made fun of me, but I know I am in America. What's the main language? What's the first language that they speak there? English. My job was to learn English. You're not in America and then I'm going to form my own community. And therefore, America has to conform around me. That's not what it's about. That's another thing. Like, people think that it's no big deal. So I'm going to be in America, but I'm never going to learn English and everything. So when you do that, what do you want Americans to do? So they need to just learn your language? Think about it. You come in America, you're a visitor. You're hoping to not be a visitor any longer by becoming American. You have dreams and aspirations, which is great. That's what I had, and that's what I'm trying to live, right? But at the same time, this is not originally your home. So you don't come in somebody else's house and be like, all right, great. So now that I'm here, this is what you're gonna do. This is the line. You walk the line. It's the other way around. You walk the line, right? You fit in. It's not American fit in. America fit into who I am. Like, I'm going to speak French, I'm going to speak Korean, I'm going to speak Spanish. No, if I post a job in English and I'm looking for this English speaking person, you don't speak English, don't send me a whole message in Spanish or in a different language. Now you're telling me that you go get a dictionary, you go get a translator, translate that and figure it out and get me the job. And when you don't get the job, you start complaining, right? People, we got to be better than this. We got to be better than this. We got to be slower to point fingers, if even. You'll see, like, pointing fingers never help you to achieve anything. It just never does. It puts you in a victimhood mentality where you are expecting people to do things for you. And if it didn't happen, it's not your fault. You'll see anybody who's good at pointing fingers, they're never wrong. Isn't that crazy? They're just never wrong. You got to ask yourself why. The reason is it's because you're too busy just looking at other people's flaws and they don't look at their own flaws. So they stay in this darkness. They stay in this ignorant place because it's never them. It's always other people. So we got to be better. So that's the conversation I wanted to have with you all today. Again, it will apply to some of you. It won't apply to a lot of you, but that's okay. I know for a fact that's a problem that we deal with. But the more we keep looking at what the media is putting out, the rhetorics that they're just spewing, we're never going to see it from that side. And it's designed to be this way, where when you look at the news right now, immigration is such a hot topic. People are being deported, people are afraid, people are scared, separation, and all that is a thing. All that is a thing. I'm not denying any of it. But at the same time, it's not just one aspect to it. And sometimes you just got to simplify things a little bit. Now we're not going to dive into the whole thing like about people being deported and everything. My view on that, it's as simple as that. When I moved to the US, I moved by myself. I was legal. And I never stayed here illegally. Yes. I know a lot of you are like, oh, it's not that easy. Good for you that you blah blah blah. I was not handed a silver spoon. It wasn't like, hey, you're going to move to the US and I'm going to give you a house, I'm going to give you a car, you're going to go to college, everything's going to be handed to you. Absolutely not. I went through my fair share of having to get a visa every 8 months, having to do this and that, going back home. No, I had the choice. I made the choice to always be legal. Again, a lot of you are just looking to just hear what I'm saying, flip it around, trying to come up with scenarios as to why this is not always possible. Of course it's not always possible. If you're escaping some sort of genocide, violence and stuff like that, of course it's not going to be as easy as that. But you always have the choice. But if you had the choice and decided to come here illegally, stay here illegally, and now they're deporting you, you still feel like you can complain about that? Take the politics out of it. You broke the law to be here. And so you're going to have a problem whenever they try to reinforce the law. I mean, sometimes we just got to be honest with ourselves. Somebody came in your house. They were not invited, right? They just opened the door and then found the next extra room, the guest room. They just settled in. That person was not invited, right? That's the key word there. So they're illegal. They're breaking in and entering. So when you kick them out, you really think that they have a leg to stand on? That's just me simplifying it in a way that everybody can relate to it. You don't let anybody into your house that you don't know, uninvited. It's as simple as that. It's a crappy situation whenever you are escaping a bad situation from wherever you came from, Haiti, Venezuela, anywhere, Africa. But at the same time, life's not perfect. But you decided to make a choice where you were starting on a very wrong foot. So the consequences of that will come. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. So my pastor always says this one thing that stuck with me. We're all free to make whatever decisions that we want. You can choose to steal and cheat, God forbid, kill somebody right now. You have the opportunity. You can pick up a gun and just shoot somebody. But you never have the choice to pick the consequences that come after that. You can choose to just cross the border because you figured things are so much worse where you're coming from. What you're escaping is so much worse. You made a decision, you know? Whether it was hard or easy, you made a decision to cross the border, come here illegally. You made a decision to lie. You made a decision to cheat on your wife or your husband. You made a decision to not be there for your kids the way that you're supposed to. That's a decision that you're making. You can do that. And you will do it if that's what you want to do. But later on, you don't get to pick the consequences that come after that. You don't get to pick the amount of what what you get back. You don't get to pick the amount of it. You don't get to be like, oh, I was never there for my kids, but my kids can hate me, but don't hate me too much. Or like hate me for like about a year. 2 years later, we should be good. You should, no, life doesn't work that way. There's a reason why we should all strive to be the best that we can. in every single areas. Because at least when we do that, living in such an imperfect world, at least we can expect more good than bad. Because we live a life that's fruitful. You know, you try to do the right thing even when it's hard. Even when you back home is so hard, things are so difficult. You try to do the right thing, you know? Even when you want a job that pays you, I don't know, 20 bucks an hour, but the job calls for 10 bucks an hour, you do it. Use it as a bridge. That's what I did. I was going to school full time. I was working as a CNA. And a lot of you, a CNA, a nurse aide, that's not easy work. I've had about 8 people died on my shift, and I had to clean them, get them ready to, be transported to the morgue. And a CNA work, it's not easy work. It's not glamorous at all. I mean, you're wiping old people's butts and feed them, bathe them. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you cannot be so quick to take the easy way out. The easy way out is very, very temporary. It's very temporary. You got to be willing to put in the work, do the right stuff. Don't be ungrateful. America is a great country. I'm forever grateful to be here, to be an American, to be serving in the military. All those things most people don't get them. So don't take them for granted. And worst of all, don't be ungrateful. Great having a conversation with you. I look forward to the next one. And please, if you get value out of this video, subscribe, like, and share it. That would help the channel move forward. And I want more people to hear about that. I don't want to be preaching negativity, but when there is a place where I can shine some light and help people to be more grateful, to be better, that's what I'm going to do. That's what the channel is all about. Peace and love.